Welcome to the Saturday stream, where we'll be continuing to work on the mushrooms that we started working on yesterday. Got a gray box, not a gray box, but you know, a block in of a mushroom. One second, folks. A block in of a mushroom, which is already looking rather promising. So I think that immediately we should just start throwing textures on this thing and see what we can get. I'm going to grab a Firefox page over here and let's try mushrooms. Fantasy mushrooms. Giant. Well, you know, actually it's not important that they're giant. Get reference of them. So I'm going to chill. Hey, Vaughn, what's happening? This is Vaughn from Bremerton, I assume. Yeah, I think that's the same little icon there. Hello, hello. Okay, so we're just gonna find a mushroom. There's just so many different directions we can go with this. We did have something that we were looking at last time that I thought was kind of cool. Particularly in the stem for the mushroom, because it seems like we can kind of go like in two directions. There's this sort of more like ridgy, ribbed stem, and then there's the more clean, just white stem. I'm not finding that reference that we had last time. It's not super important. I'm sure I could just kind of make it up. Mushrooms, I find, are so forgiving. I find mushrooms are very forgiving because apparently I've made just like 15 mushrooms in my life, and I have. I've made a lot of mushrooms. I like mushrooms a lot. Mushrooms, Giant Mushroom Town is one of the first 3D pieces I ever made. It looked really bad. It was really bad. But I was inspired. I can't find, maybe it was just giant mushrooms. Hey, rock on. Well, glad you were able to drop by. Just looking for that reference that I had to go in last time. I don't know where it is. Oh well, let's just go with Fantasy Mushroom and let's just start knocking in the texture for this thing. So we could try... I don't even know if we want to go like the photo texture route. We could try like Pexels. Pexels is just like a website for royalty-free imagery. Could go like mushroom. See if we can get something to start from. So typically I think photo reference is... Usually you don't want to only use like other artwork as reference. I think it's important to draw from life. So this is what I was talking about with the ribbed sort of stem. We could go with like one of those. Let's just start working on a sort of ribby sort of texture to get on the stem. Let's do that. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna make a new texture. I don't even think we'll need 1024. I think that 512 is going to be fine. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Go with 512 by 512. Okay, great. And we could just draw this. Usually it's going to be better when I paint stuff, just because it tends to match Jacqueline's art style better than if I use too much photo stuff. But I know there is a rendering thing you can do in Photoshop. Render fibers, I think it is, or something like that. Yeah, here it is. And oh, here, let's go with white and black. Or maybe even, yeah, let's do white and black. render fibers is such a weird thing that they have built in. I don't even know why this is built into Photoshop, but it is. And I guess I do end up using it now and again, although I'm not exactly the normal Photoshop user. I wish you could kind of like reduce the frequency of it, because it's pretty high frequency right there. I'm gonna start with that. And I believe it even tiles. Wouldn't that be something? Let's go offset. It does not tile. That's fine. Okay. And I'm going to run a cutout filter on it. Go to artistic filters. Right? That's what it's called. Stylize maybe? Come on now. I never remember where the filter gallery, that's what we're looking for. And then I'm gonna go with the cutout. So just lowering like the levels of cutout and increasing the edge simplicity is gonna give us like, make it look more like it was sort of hand drawn here. It gives it a more painted look. Just trying to figure out how simple to go with it. That starts to look a little bit beyond painted. This is kind of simple. I think that's the right balance. So here we go. There's looks like someone could have painted that, sketched it. And then we're going to go back to our reference and just check out what we've got, the sort of values we have going. So really it's just like a tan sort of color. I'm just going to go with that. It's just like almost like an off-white. Diaco asks, what texture is that? So we're currently texturing some mushrooms, some giant mushrooms we have. And at the moment I just ran a render fibers Photoshop operation. Get that particular look there. And I'm gonna go with this sort of white-ish tan color, yellow. Oops. And let's lay that in. And then I'm going to set this to overlay. And we can maybe knock back the intensity there, something like that. Okay. There's a starting point right there. We're done. I'm going to go ahead and save this as mushroom stem. Save. Okay. Cool. So now I'm going to head over to Blender, and we are going to make a new material. So we've got this thing mapped to oak bark. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back. I suspect that we're going to want like a blend shader for this. And the reason why I think that is because at the edges of the mushroom, we're going to have that fiber texture change to more of like a mushroom top texture. And I think that is going to require blend shader. So I want to just immediately get going with a blend shader here. Let me grab this model, and I'm going to use the legacy material import settings. And I'm going to use that oak bark. I believe that is already a blend. Yeah, it is. And duplicate it. This is going to be a great starting point for us. And I'm going to call this giant mushroom. Yeah, Unity does use C#. So for anyone wondering on one platform or the other, I'm multi-streaming right now. So there's comments from YouTube and comments from Twitch. I should really put a chat on the screen that combines them. It's the chat that I see, but technically against the Twitch terms of service. Not that they seem to be enforcing it, and certainly not that they give a rat's ass what I'm doing. I don't exactly bring all the dollar bills to the yard for Twitch or anyone. So we've got giant mushroom, and I can put in a couple different textures here. Let's go base texture. Let's go with our mushroom stem texture, which we just made. And then Yeah, why don't we go red texture? Well, we don't have the texture yet. What am I doing? Getting ahead of myself. I'm going to head over to this texture's import settings and just make sure we're not using MIPS. I don't use MIPS in Songs of Glimmerwick. For anyone who doesn't know what MIPS are, it's basically a downsampled version of the texture that as it gets further away from the camera, it uses the downsampled version of the texture so that the texture doesn't get super crunchy. When it gets far away, it tends to alias really poorly into the render frame. So it's a very old thing, you know, 40 years old at this point, that we use these things called MIPS. And we don't use them in Songs of Glimmerwick because we're using the most insane anti-aliasing ever, the type of anti-aliasing that you just would never do in a normal 3D game because it's too expensive. But since this game is so inexpensive to render, we can afford to just blow the bank on super, basically just oversampling and then down resing, which is normally too expensive. Okay, so we've got the correct import settings there, and now what I want to do is set this thing to, I think it's going to be blue. Let's see what that looks like. And that should give us the correct texture. There we go. So now we're showing the oak bark, which is good. That's what we want. We actually want the giant mushroom material. I'm gonna go to that material and I'm gonna copy the name of it, popping back into Blender, and I'm gonna just give it giant mushroom material name. I'm gonna export and pop back into Unity, and it should be linked up to my new material. So the material doesn't tile vertically. I don't think that that's a problem. I don't actually know why we're having a seam right there. Why don't we just maybe see what we're working with? Let's, maybe it's because, no, we got it going the right way. I don't know. This is really weird. I don't really know why we're getting a seam right there. Very odd. Oh, I see why, because we've got 1.5. Okay, there we go. Let's change all these things back to 1 on our giant mushroom texture. And let's just see how that reads so far. Super bright, not surprising. I'm gonna lower the value significantly. Desaturate it a little because it kind of pumped some extra color in there. Vista Realms asks 4K textures. You know, the resolution of the texture is completely dependent on where we use it. And in this case, basically any tiling texture in Glimmerwick is going to be very low resolution because you're just super far away from everything. You're not, you know, like in a first-person 3D game, you're walking like right on top of stuff. So you need a lot of large frequency variation. And then once you have that, of course, that means you're far away from the texture, which means that it needs to be really high resolution in order to hold up when you're right on top of it. But in Glimmerwick, you're super far away from everything, so you really don't need that. Like if you think about, you know, the screen is 1,000 pixels tall, roughly. Well, a 1024 is going to cover the entire size of the screen, you know, from top to bottom. So you wouldn't need a ton of resolution. The only time we have a ton of resolution is like when we have like an interior that the player can actually walk around in. Then we usually might have a 4096 or something like that. Hey Myriad, welcome, welcome. Dev is going well. Welcome to the chat, T41. Okay, so I don't love how that texture looks. I think it looks pretty bad. Let's look back to more reference and see if we can unpack why it looks so bad. I don't want a mushroom like this that's all rooty. That's not the look I want. This is a dark, here, something more like that. It does seem though that we're not getting a fibrous look. We're getting more of a clean lines look. So I wonder if I'm just kind of going about it the wrong way. Maybe what I want is literally just to draw it. It wouldn't be so bad. What I could do, you know, I could just like, let's start over, because that, I don't think there's really anything about that that I like. So I'm just gonna start over here. And let's go with like dark. Let's go get a little bit of mouse smoothing here. Thank you, Myriad. Congratulations. Vista Realm says, I'm making my first game for itch.io and my character had a 4K face, but I had to reduce all the textures to at most 512 to fit under 1 gigabyte. Gotcha. I'm just going to start drawing a bunch of lines here. It's literally going to keep drawing lines until it's just like covered in lines. Yeah, you know, you only need a 4K texture for the face if the face is going to be... You just have to think about what, you know, what's going to be drawing. If you have a face that will be taking up literally the entire screen, chin, the top of head, 4K is still overkill, right? Because a monitor, you know, most people's monitor is only 1000 or 1080 pixels tall. So, you know, unless you've got a game where you're literally have a shot that is like this, then you might need that 4K texture, which a lot of AAA games get really, really close to the face for some reason. Everyone loves to show off. Like, let me zoom in super close and do a shot on their eyes like this is a movie or something. Kind of insane. I don't know why we want to show off how ugly our rendering is still, because it still looks really bad. Any normal person who's not a gamer, whenever they see like in-game cinematics, it's like, oh god, that looks so bad. I don't know why we want to show it off so much. Let me catch up with chat here. Oh, we're okay. Okay. Game dev god, no. 4K is only necessary if you're doing close-ups. Yes, or if you are doing, like, if it's a ground texture or something, you're walking on the ground and you want lots of unique features that you don't want to repeat aggressively. All right. So I'm just drawing all of these lines tediously but relaxingly. You know, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. You can relax. You can slowly draw lines. How about that? Let me give that a save. Pop over. Look at that. That looks horrible. I hate it. This is okay. But I think that it needs to be much higher resolution. So I think we might actually want this thing to be 1024. Let's go 1024. And then I'm just going to draw a bunch of lines now. Again, over the top of all these other lines, which are going to be low resolution, but because I just upsampled. But I don't really care, because by the time I finish this thing, I'm going to have drawn so many lines that will have covered it all. So maybe my brush is a little small here. Probably faster way to do this, but I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I'm having a relax. I want to think about the fastest way to do things right now. I want to draw some lines in Photoshop with my mouse like a crazy person. Shadow gradient from the bottle. Yes, I like the way you're thinking. We're definitely going to get to that. We've got a lot of lighting work to do. I'm probably going to paint the lighting in the vertices, because I'm an old man, the way I like to do it. Vista Realm says, my game will just be a free demo to get feedback. I've been working on it for 3 weeks. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Don't want to spend too long on a free game, but I hope the feedback will help. Rock on. Well, that sounds like a great goal. Got to start somewhere. Hey, Monique. Welcome. Monique Monica. Pardon me if I butchered your name. Welcome to the stream. We're making some mushrooms to go in an area of the game that we've been calling the Dark Forest. It's a working title. It's not the actual name, because that's taken by many fantasy media. 41, I've got a fellow elder in here, or it's just someone who has some respect for the elder ways. Appreciate that. You can call me Monique or Monica. All right, I'll go with Monica. Appreciate the clarification there. Monica asks, what's the name of the game I'm working on? Well, I thought she'd never ask. The name of the game is Songs of Glimmerwick, and it's a Witch Academy RPG where the magic of the world is music. Did that work? There it goes. Okay. You can check out that link if you want to check out our Steam page and see what we're cooking up, and maybe if it's your cup of tea. Hey, thanks, Nicholas, for the support and for the hype. Really appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna give that a save and pop back into Unity and see what we're doing. So I like that a little bit more. It's super saturated and bright. I'm gonna lower the brightness of it. I think because in the Dark Forest, all of the values are super muted. Okay, let's do a little bit of maybe, do I want to do vertex painting? Maybe I want to do who suggested it here with the gradient? Someone suggested a gradient. Neat Games, good suggestion. Vista says you didn't tweet that you were streaming. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't. You're right. Well, I thought sometimes I like to do just a secret stream. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like when I do a tweet, it like brings more people in, and then it feels like more pressure. But you know, I probably should tweet. Let's go. Should I promote the Twitch or the YouTube one? Let's do the YouTube one. Oops, I'm doing a tweet over here. Today we're working on giant mushrooms, and just link to the YouTube. Hey Monica, thanks for the kind words, appreciate it. Yeah, my wife and I and one other full-time programmer from England, we've been working on that game for almost 5 years now. Let me go over to our YouTube here. YouTube stream. Get a link for that. Paste it in there. Okay. On a tweet. Thanks for the reminder, Vista Realms. Okay, I'll go ahead and retweet it on the Songs of Glimmerwick Twitter account. If I can. I'm smart enough. My wife and I live in the Seattle area, Washington State is in the northwestern corner of the United States. Okay, there we go with the tweets. Rock on, Myriad. I'm glad you're digging the streams. Appreciate you dropping by. All right, let's go with the gradients that Neat Games mentioned. I said I was going to do it with vertex colors, but you know what? I think that that's not going to work well, because if we're going to be rotating these mushrooms, then I think that maybe we don't actually want to do with vertex color. Well, actually, I don't know. I'm changing my mind. Let's just try it. First, let's try it in the in the texture. I'm gonna put a gradient in there. We set it to overlay. Why? What are you doing here? What do you do? Rasterize this. Don't give me this nonsense. What is this? This is new. This is young people stuff. I don't know how to work that weird vector graphic gradient nonsense. Come on, got an old man. Photoshop should have an old man mode where it just gives you only things that have been around since CS2. I guess I could just use CS2. Sometimes I dream about just finding an old Photoshop license, somehow acquiring an old Photoshop license and just using that until I'm dead. Never updating ever again. Basically what I'm doing with Blender right now, the version of Blender I'm using is about, I think it might be almost 15 years old. I don't know, I have to check. This darkening does look okay, but it's not doing the right stuff. It's going to black, and it needs to be pumping saturation into it. But this is a rule of art. Typically, when things are in the shadow, they get more saturated. So, you know, if you're ever doing a painting and you think, oh, I need a darker version of red, you don't just need a darker version of red. You need a more saturated version of red and a darker version of red. So that's why it looks kind of weird. So I just need to pump some color in. A little bit of color in, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be the exact hue. Like here I'm going a little bit more red, and that in my opinion already looks a lot more pleasing. I'm gonna go with that. Okay, let's copy the gradient, flip it, put it on the top, and squish it down a little bit. Oops. Monica enters random lives to practice their English. Okay, that's cool. A fun way to practice English. Well, thank you for dropping by my stream of all the streams. CS2, okay, yeah. Like, yeah, I'm talking about Photoshop versions. It does sound like Counter-Strike though. Myriad's chasing Blender updates. Affinity Photo. This is something I haven't used it, but I think one day I would be lovely. I'm just too lazy. I'm too lazy to learn. It's like I'm at the point now where like if it takes me a week to learn, that costs me like probably $2,000 or something. So like given that Photoshop, is going to take me many years before it costs that much. It's hard to update, but I really should update. I want to get out of the Adobe Cancer sphere. That's a thing that Adobe made that I live in, the Cancer sphere. Right, yeah, I don't want to pay every month for Adobe either. I know, right? Standalone Photoshop. Those are the days. I'm gonna mess with the hue of the top. Yeah, how about that little purple action in our lives here? I'm gonna turn down the opacity there. Okay, it's a stem, it's okay. I did like it better with the shader we had before, where it was actually lighting, which is weird because there's no other lighting in the game. So that just means to me that we're gonna have to paint some kind of lighting in at some point, but it's not time yet. First, let's just work on the texture. I'm gonna only spend a little tiny bit longer on the texture because I really want to move on. I like to, my great mentor, Jason Stokes, probably most people have not been heard of him, but you can Google him. He worked at ArenaNet and he was my first boss and my first 3D teacher. And he taught me many things about art. And he always said that you should do 3D like a painter. You should go general to specific. You shouldn't immediately start honing in on something and making it super detailed. You should try to get the entire thing done, you know, in a very rough state, and then continually refine. You can sort of everything at once, or at least large parts at once, and never to hone in and get stuck on one little thing and keep noodling away on it. Because, you know, you might change things as you push things around. But I still go by that philosophy. Okay. So now I'm going to try to get the cap here, the top. What kind of texture are we going to go with on the top? There's this classic mushroom, like toadstool sort of thing, like from Mario Kart. We don't want that. That's going to be too generic. What else we got? Look at some real photos here. Mr. Realm says, I need a mentor. I'm alone and lost. Yeah, I know what you mean. People can learn a lot about developing games with your channel. Well, appreciate that, Monica. I hope so. Maybe some things, slowly. They watch. Might be more efficient to watch something else. But hopefully some learning occurs at some point. We're getting into some distinctly not mushroom things, like this mushroom soup. Let's go back up to the top of the page here. I have like a cracked dirt texture that I actually think might be a nice starting point. Let's get lucid here. Let's do some weird stuff. So here's that dirt texture I was talking about. I'm gonna pop that thing open. See, it has these really nice shapes here, like these really nice like distinct geometric shapes. I'm gonna try to find the texture that has that most distinctly. I think it's this one. I'm gonna make a new, go ahead and go into our mushroom stem. I'm gonna save this one as giant mushroom cap. And I'm gonna delete like basically everything here, almost everything here. Don't need you. Okay, and I'm gonna bring in this other texture. Here we are. And I'm gonna see if we can get this looking more mushroomy. So I don't think we need the green brown mix. That's very like ground dirt stuff. And we don't need these gradients either, actually. So I'm just gonna completely slurp all the saturation out of this. I'm gonna just make sure it kind of uses the whole value range and maybe keep the values sort of in the middle there. And then I'm gonna fill this with, let's start with a sort of red and just see what that looks like. And I'm gonna change this to overlay. That is going to look freaking insane in a bad way. So abandoned ship. I don't even need to try that to tell you it's gonna look like garbage. I'm after like kind of this color if I can. It looks almost more brown. Let's shift it into the brown direction. Maybe add a little bit more yellow. Yeah, something like that. More brown, and then definitely less saturated. And let's try that. Giant mushroom cap. Okay, so popping back into Unity and clicking on our mushroom, and then we're going to go into the giant mushroom material, and let's go with giant mushroom cap, and then it's already, I can tell it's too saturated. Catch up with chat here. swirls or waves. That could be interesting. Blue. Could try some blue mushrooms. Yeah, fungi is definitely very artistic. Go higher in the trunk. Oh, maybe like shelves of mushrooms, maybe? Oh, no, you're talking about something else. Different kind of mushroom, maybe? Okay, let's apply that. And then we've got the red channel there. So let's just get our mushroom doing what we want it to. We want it to be solidly blue except for on the top, where we want it to be pink. Why pink? Because we want full red, but we also want full blue. And that is because I'm using the blue channel of the vertex color as a multiply channel for sort of like lighting, fake lighting, painted lighting, old man lighting, old school lighting. You know, some games used to be completely lit in their vertices. Those are the days. Those are the good old days. And things were simple and you could blow people's minds. I'm gonna blur. Why aren't you? Oh, you are blurring. You're just going crazy. Okay, I think we don't have enough resolution here. I'm gonna need to apply the modifier, but I'm not ready to apply the modifier. So I'm just gonna blur what we have and we'll come back to it later. General to specific, right? Broad strokes, work like a painter. That'll try. Okay, so here's what we have. Why is it so low? Oh, right, because we didn't unwrap. Huh. Stupid. So we need to not have that selected. We need to just stick to the top and unwrap that. And then down here, I want to unwrap just one face. And I'm going to square up this face by scaling the verts on the X to 0. I'm going to do the same on the Y axis. Grab these verts, scale them to 0. I'm going to select a ring of faces, make sure that last face is my active face. And then I'm going to do handy dandy follow active quads, the world's best UVing tool that has ever been created, ever before. Nothing has ever been made that was better than that, and nothing ever will. Okay. There we go. So now we can kind of play with these values a little bit. And we have a mushroom. We have a mushroom. The texture needs to be like super subdued, and then let's maybe go with the dots. So first of all, way too much satch. Way too much. Let's knock back that satch a little bit, and then these details need to be far less contrasty. Then I'm gonna try maybe making some dots. White dots, gray dots. I don't know. We'll try some stuff. Lord Matry. Oh my goodness. Why? Should I ban you? No, that was too good. Oh dear. For anyone on YouTube, Lord Matry on the Twitch side said, I think there's mushroom for improvement. Houdini has an auto UV node. Let me tell you something about auto UVs. They don't do what you want them to do. The magic of follow active quads is not that it does it automatically. The magic is that it does exactly what you want it to do, exactly the way you want it to do it. You can put the UVs exactly where you want, and it's just perfect. It's the most versatile tool for making UVs the way you want them. Auto UV unwrap, every single 3D package has that since 1913, when the first 3D package came out, before World War I even, I think, something. And even that had an auto unwrap tool, and it was garbage, and it still is, and they're all garbage. So. Ah, yes, Myriad, speaking my language here. I'm gonna put a few of these dots. Just some, dots. I think that we don't want the shape to be too irregular. Trying to get a good variety of sizes here in the dottage. And I've also noticed that the dots, typically you can almost see them like conform to the contour of their neighboring dots. So I'm trying to get some of that in there. All right, and I'll just reduce the opacity of that significantly. And let me see what that looks like so far. Ugh, freaking awful. I hate it so much. I hate it with all my heart, all my mind, and all my soul. So we have some dots. I'm going to scale them way down. They're way too big, clearly. And I'm going to Control J them and just rotate them around. I really should have, you know what I should have done? If I had half a brain, I would have kept these at 100%. Not too late. It's not too late to save myself. And then I don't have to worry too much about them overlapping, because it's really not the end of the world. They overlap a little bit here. They just kind of create a different shape. Okay, what's that? How's this? Does this look awful? They don't even look good in the texture. Like, they look just stupid. You gotta use our reference here. We have to. It's not going well. I feel like the mushrooms have been getting worse. They've been getting worse. This is interesting. It's like a cracked Veroni noise pattern that seems to get darker toward the top. You know, that is something that would help. Let's do just a tiny bit of vertex color here. Tiny bit. Nothing crazy. We're not going to go crazy. Just a little tiny bit of vertex coloring isn't going to kill us. Vista says, true auto UVs often don't work for me, but simple mesh, especially with triplanar materials in Substance Painter. All right. Somewhat reminds me of gecko skin patterns. See that? I'm gonna slurp some of the blue out of this down here. It's really not hard to really see the impact of this. I suspect it's very strong though. In fact, why don't we save that and go see what we're actually doing here. Yeah, so we're really darkening the bottom of the mushroom here. Let me slurp a nah, that's way too much. And now I'm gonna go ahead and blur. Okay. It looks like we actually sucked a bunch of blue out of the top, which we do not want. So I'm gonna add some of it back. Particularly right here. I don't know why Got so much darker right here. Okay. Catch up with chat here. Vista asks, how long did you work on your first Steam game, Leaving Lindau? It's kind of complicated because a lot of stuff in Leaving Lindau, like we had already been working on Eastshade for years. So I already had a big base to work off, like tons of assets and stuff. But I worked for 6 months from the moment I decided that we were going to make Leaving Lindau before we shipped Eastshade. It was 6 months. But again, we already had tons of stuff. We already had like first-person controller, tons of assets. We had stuff like saving and loading and start menu and all kinds of stuff to work from that I really understood the code base of well because I wrote it. Looks terrible. We need a plan. We need a plan. So what I'm going to do, clearly a bunch of dots doesn't work. So I'm going to take, I wonder if we can get like, can I just get a Veroni noise from Pexels? It's not really the type of thing you'd get on Pexels. Not at all. I don't know what I'm doing. The problem is I can't just grab things off Google, but it is the correct pattern. I mean, is anyone really gonna know? Free. Let's see. One of these is gonna be royalty free. Yeah, this one's from Blender. This one's from the Blender docs. Blender actually has a Veroni noise. So it's from Blender. So we know it's fine. Blender is completely open source. Get this. Pulling this image over here. Okay. So let's see if it tiles. It does. Which is very nice. I think that pattern might even be a little bit small, but oops. We might even want that higher res. Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to invert it and I'm going to like kind of threshold it. Dang it, they're turning into circles. What if we ran a cutout filter on it? Artistic, what is this? Blur gallery, filter gallery. I wonder if there's a way that we could get this looking like turn down that edge simplicity. Yeah, they all just turn to circles. Really weird. I guess that's what Veroni noise is. Well, anyhow. Let's make this into a mask, I guess. Get our gray layer. Turn that off. Turn that off. Grab the mask for that. And then create a layer mask. Now we've got these boring bits of white. and I want to get a gradient with black, and we're gonna make it taper off. What are you doing, man? Stop it. Stop it. Just do a raster graphics. What are you doing? What is this? What is this crap? No, stop it. Stop what you're doing. Classic gradient. Good Lord. Phew. Okay. Now we can actually be normal. And I'm just going to start like chipping away at the sides a little bit. I cannot believe this is going. I would have thought this would be a walk in the park. Not on my game right now. Okay. Photoshop is lockjawed me. Being locked. There we go. And I'm going to put like significant contrast into the mask. They just look like circles. Perfect circles. Whatever. Whatever, man. And they get darker in the middle. So, well, the whole mushroom gets darker in the middle. So why don't we just create, let's just grab a big soft brush and create some kind of darker value. Orange. I do like orange. Let me catch up a chat. Cracked desert ground, that could be an idea. It's kind of what we have there as our overlay texture. Minoy, welcome to the chat, asks for tips on handling scope creep. I know the obvious answer is to have some self-control, but wanted to know your thoughts. Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't have any particular tips. You just have to try to keep your end goal in sight. You got to keep your eye on the schedule, and you got to keep your eye on your capital and how much, you can afford to, how much more you can afford to do. But at least with myself and my own studio, my wife and I, our games start really, 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 really big, and then we cut and we cut and we cut and we cut and we cut. I know some people have the opposite problem where their games start small. They try to make a small thing and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. We don't have that problem. For us, it's like it's always getting smaller until finally, it's like we get down to the wire and we're like, oh my God, we got 2 years left. Like we absolutely have to finish this thing. And then we really start getting very serious about, what state the game is in, how many hours of playable content we have, and how polished it is, and what needs to be done, and what's the most important thing for the build. Like I always say that I don't even know where I got this from, but like always be shipping. This is a philosophy that many successful studios have. Always be shipping. You're always shipping. Like next week, you're shipping. What are you working on? Even if you're not shipping next week, even if you're shipping in 6 months, it's very often a decent idea to at least consider what you would be working on if you were shipping next week, because that sort of gets your brain into that serious mode of like, okay, what is important to the player experience and actually making a shippable product. Of course, can't always work on what you'd be working on if you're shipping next week, but it's just a good lens to consider every now and again. Up here, just to ask, so is Lindau kind of a short experiment to get feedback to help develop eShade? Leaving Lindau was more like practice for shipping a game. It wasn't necessarily to get feedback. I don't give a shit about feedback for the most part. As angry as that makes people, that's what leaving Lindau was. A little bit to see if I could get some more funding for eShade, but it didn't really, it made its money back. I mean, to date, I think we maybe netted like 60 grand off of leaving Lindau. I don't know, it took me 6 months. It took Jacqueline maybe a month or two of her work time. So it's not like super good return on investment, but it's something. But it definitely didn't like, you know, give us money to create a bigger product out of eShade. It sort of just covered its costs. Enemy asks about what I find Pexels useful for. So there's a lot of royalty-free licensed stuff, like GPL licensed stuff on Pexels that you can just literally grab the image if you want. It's also great for reference, and then you can be free to literally just drop the image in Photoshop if you want and do manipulation on it and stuff, because if you can find the royalty-free ones, and I think Pexels is mostly full of those kinds of photos. Some of them just require attribution. I don't touch the stuff that requires attribution. I don't want to go crediting a bunch of little tiny. Can you imagine a credit in the credits like beak texture on bird number 4 or whatever it is. Emery's got some thoughts on scope creep. Good stuff, good stuff. Always be closing. Interesting. I wonder if that's where the always be shipping came from. Yeah, that's a head coach. That's a good mentality. Figure out what the crucial parts. We call them design pillars, right? Like when you start a game, you want to have these design pillars. What are the most important things about your game? We make very like evocative games, so we're very like feelings oriented. Like we want a certain feeling for our games, and those are kind of our design pillars. Like fundamentally, what you want your game to do. And you just ask yourself every time you are considering a feature, does this reinforce your design pillar or your any of your design pillars? And you can't have too many. Like you can't have like 15 design pillars, right? You can have like 2 or 3 design pillars. Maybe one is the best, but we tend to have, 2 or 3 design pillars. And you just want to always ask yourself if what you're doing is reinforcing those design pillars. I wanted to make the top of this mushroom. What are you doing? What's going on? Stamp? I ain't trying to stamp. I'm trying to paint. I'm trying to paint, dog. Oh, I guess some of these brushes are stamp. Stupid. Okay. Here we go. So I made this dark part in the top. And give that a save. It's so blurry looking. Why is it so blurry, man? Let's just commit. These look blurry. Let's just make sure that they actually look sharp, even if they look like stupid little circles. Okay, and then I'm just gonna knock back their opacity significantly. It looks so bad. Maybe just that one looks bad. I almost think it needs to be higher resolution because I think that these mushrooms are going to get pretty big. I think I made a huge mistake. I think I should have gone 2048. I didn't even see a difference. Let me go to that. I also think that the value is kind of wrong. Like, oops, let me reduce the saturation here. And let me mess with the color of the mushroom. Well, that just kind of looks boring now, that color. I am shocked that I am so bad right now. Maybe we should go more photo reference. Maybe we should like actually get a photo texture of a mushroom, since clearly I'm completely failing at painting one. It's kind of risky in a game like this. You don't want to go too photo-y. I'm closing out a bunch of crap over here on my other monitor. Let me have a chat. I think the blurry ones just looked, they looked like just low resolution. It didn't really look like an artistic decision. Well, I'm just astounded. Put some more dots over here. Is this good? Put some dots over here. Let's put some dots over here. Put some dots over here. How's that? It just looks really strange. I don't know why. Let me find the perimeter of this thing and just paint like a white line with a really hard brush. Is this somewhat the perimeter? Let's. I have the lazy brush on and it's making it really hard to paint perimeter. I need to reduce the smoothing. The lazy brush is too lazy. Okay, I'm painting this with my mouse. Okay, how's that? Completely not on the perimeter at all. Okay. I wonder if I got like a perfect UV unwrap, that would help us. Actually, I don't even know if I can. I think maybe the UVs are a little bit janked out as well. It's like we might just want to move that right to the middle. Move these really neatly. Something like that. And then we know that the perimeter is probably pretty close to the edge there. So we can maybe just put that like that. You know, not that bad. Starting to like it a little bit more, but I still somewhat hate it. I hate it with like 60% of my maximum hate level. I'm going to fill this with white and then I'm going to cut a circle out of the middle. Is that the border? There we go. It's funny, that white line makes a huge difference. That really, for whatever reason, significantly improves the look of the mushroom to me. Crazy. I think it needs to be just a little bit more. But then I think I can grab my lazy brush or whatever and start. Come on, man. Get with the program here. What are you doing? Smooth, smooth, smooth. Spacing 0. Come on now. Just start eating away a little bit. Let's get slightly more smoothing. Whenever I say lazy brush, I mean smoothing. I don't know. I think maybe I call it that because a ZBrush has a mouse smoothing. And they call it lazy brush, which was actually kind of novel at the time that ZBrush came out, which is really, really hilarious because it's so trivial to do, like from a software perspective. And it's very useful for drawing stuff. I just want to make it not like a clinical perfect circle here. So I'm just kind of eating away. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that made a really big difference. Super weird, man. I'm going to reduce the brightness of it and maybe put it underneath that texture layer. I have not run around these mushrooms at all, like at all, which I'm really ashamed to say. Let's grab our developer, handy dandy developer shortcut dev entry, and I'm going to stick it right next to these mushrooms and run around them, see how they feel, see if they're as bad as I think they are. Okay, let me catch up with chat. Minoy asks if I'm baking any lights for the project or is it all real time? It's basically, most of the light is kind of painted, actually. A lot of the light is painted in the vertex colors, but the majority of the light is painted in Jacqueline's illustrations, because most of this game is made out of illustrations. I happen to be working on some 3D mushrooms, because these 3D mushrooms are freaking huge, but most of the mushrooms in the game, like these normal sized mushrooms on the ground, these are illustrated by Jacqueline, so she paints a lot of the light. We also have a directional light that casts shadows, and that's really the only like real-time light we have in the game. But there's no like baking, like GI sort of stuff. All right, rock on. Glad you think it looks good, Vaughn. Okay, so let's turn off that prefab, and I'm just going to have a little run here around the mushrooms. Yeah. It's funny. We are going to need a shit ton of resolution. Like, this is... We might need a 2048 for this, because this mushroom is taking up the whole width of the screen. Now, I probably won't place a mushroom like this, but it's pretty clear that we are going to need a crap ton of resolution here. I don't know. I don't like the stems either. It's like I can't... Like, I think they need to be less less yellow in them and more white. I don't know. I might see... I'll do the best I can, but then it's possible Jacqueline will completely paint over it. I don't like the dot pattern. It just looks like dots, and I don't like it. I want like a cracked noise pattern, and I'm getting desperate. I'm getting desperate, so I might actually make one in Blender with my hands. Let's see, what do we got here? Let's put a plane. I'm gonna make a new material, and I'm gonna call it cracked noise. And Let's make a new texture, and we're going to go with a Veroni. And the only thing is I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. Anyhow, let's plug it into the diffuse. Surface, volume, come on now. What are we doing? I want this texture to go into the diffuse. What am I doing? Brush? Are you? No, here. This one. Okay. Texture.001, fine. Cool. Let's try Veroni. I don't think we can load that texture. I don't know how to do this. I'm showing my... Okay, so I see the Veroni here. I don't know how to preview it in the viewport. I don't think that there's an easy way to do it. So I think what I'm gonna do is maybe just use this prefab, right, or this preview right here to see. Kind of a problem though, because I need to see. Come on now. I mean, if I rendered it, it would be fine. But I just want a faster way to do this. Like, do I really have to make a new image, blank 1024, and then what do I have to do? Like render the diffuse down, like bake the thing into the texture. Bake the full render? No, bake me the textures, maybe? That didn't work. No objects found to bake. Okay, well, what if I duplicate this and then bake to active like that, bake? That's not working. No objects found to bake. Oh, this one needs an image. It's got an image. What are you talking about? Come on. Does anyone know this? I want to output the image. I don't know how to do it. I'm too stupid. I'm not smart enough for this. It could take some time. Let's try using clouds in Photoshop. Clouds are just sort of like a purlin function. Let's render some clouds. Difference clouds. Sure. Okay, so we need something in the layer. Let's give it some gray. Whoops. Not on that one. Here we go. And then render some clouds. Filter, render clouds. I don't know what the difference between difference clouds and clouds are. And then I'm going to try to get something here. I don't think that that's going to work either. Looks like a cow. What if I put my handy dandy cutout filter on it? Yeah, what about, I'm jumping around a lot here, but I just want to find the right thing. Free noise patterns. How about that? Free pick. Here we go. Noise pattern images. No, this is like, what about free fractal patterns? I want like Perlin noise or Veroni noise or just mathematical noise. Hexes maybe? Veroni noise. Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. This is, if I can get this image without freaking downloading some kind of subscription or something. Oy vey. Are you gonna screw me over, Vecteezy? I don't want to buy a yearly subscription. You said free. You SEO'd free, you bastard. Sometimes I just buckle and I just buy these things because I just need something quick. What's this? Oh, this is the Vecteezy site we were just on. Dear, oh dear. I'm gonna be right back, folks. Okay, I got one, and does not tile. I'm a little annoyed with, but I'm gonna see if we can just tile it real quick. Got the healing brush here, and of course it makes this really sloppy enjoyment, but I don't really care because it's just gonna be used in this very special way. You can generate Veroni noise in the oh, there's so many ways to generate Veroni noise, but I'm trying to get it done in like 2 minutes is the thing. Like I definitely could have made that Blender work as well, because Blender can generate all manner of different noises. And if I really needed it in a clean way, I would do it, but it's just for this stupid texture, and it's going to be so different anyway by the end. And I don't even know like if it's going to work, so I just try to get through as many ideas as possible really quickly. I want this to be the pattern of the spots. So now I'm going to go in and delete all these other spot patterns. Delete this one as well. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll just delete that layer, or delete the mask, and then create a layer mask there. And I'm going to blur the mask a little bit. Blur, come on, blur, Gaussian blur. A little bit of Gaussian blur. And then I'm going to clamp it more. And what this is doing is making the dots smaller. Because before there was like the dots were too big. Folks, I think this is going to work. I think that this one is the one. I think it's going to work. We could even put like we wanted to get real cheesy about this. We could put like a bevel and emboss. I don't think that the bevel, let's go like chisel hard. Oh, it actually is working on top of the mask. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like, it's giving like a 3-dimensionality to these dots a little bit. How's that gonna look? Gave it a save, back into Unity, and let's turn on our dark forest. And then we need to turn back on the Viz camera. Okay, that's better. That is better. The only thing is, I think that the dots, like the frequency is too, well, for one, I need to upscale this texture again. So this is gonna be, oh, it's already 2048. Okay, cool. At least we did that. I would love to run around. It's so doggone hard to run around. I think that that really rich, like red, needs to not. Or maybe just let's set that instead of overlay, let's set that to something else. Yeah, I'll just like hard light or something. Photoshop locked me. Come on, let me go, let me go. Okay, there we go. I wonder if maybe having some dark dots, because I'm remembering the dots got all dark in that one reference. Let's go to the radial gradient and just, oh yeah, that's cool. So I've only darkened the dots. We could even have like colored. We could go a little bit more like, I don't know, let's try like yellow or something weird like that. Let's try even more saturation here. Super yellow, just as a sort of test. So I don't really see the yellow. I assume that's because the opacity is so low. Let's pump that saturation max. I still don't see the yellow. Why? I'm on. Oh, it's making a black gradient. This is why. Come on now. Foreground color, foreground color. Now I see the yellow. Okay. We can just do like a really dark mustard color here. That's cool. I think that's cool. Needs to be a little bit bigger even. The only thing is it's kind of hard to see at the top. I wonder, we want them to be like red or something. I want some kind of really distinct color. Or orange. Now that's even harder to see. What if we went like super light? This is interesting. That's cool. It's cool because at the top, it's like the spots are lighter, and at the bottom, It's like inverting. That's gonna work. Okay, finally we got something that works. I think maybe we could do one of those cheese ball bevel and embosses on that white line as well. Can maybe go for smooth look. Let's increase the size and maybe decrease the depth of it. It's so cheesy. We want it to be the soft version. Or sorry, the opposite. I want it to be less puffy, less pillowy and puffy. Try that. Yeah, that's okay. But I just want to subdue it because it's a little bit much. Go like 20% depth, 40% depth. Okay, something like that. Phew. Wow. Okay. Now the stem looks so awful. I think with the stem, for one, the value is wrong. So let's go to the stem. Mushroom stem. Actually, you know, I should check Twitch because sometimes my little chat thing doesn't tell me all the Twitch messages. Looks like it's been catching them all. Oh no, it missed one. Oh my god, it was like a long time ago though, so that's okay. So weird how it just randomly omits a message sometimes. Going back to Photoshop, we want that mushroom stem. Let's crack that open. And first thing is just reducing the saturation in the stem. I also think that we need maybe to tile the thing more on the horizontal axis, and we could actually do that in the UVs probably. Delete this heinous monstrosity and stretch this thing wider in the UVs. So I've exported, come on, and let's go back to Unity. That's too much. All right. It's okay. I wonder if we can put like a little bit of texture on the stem because it is pretty plain here. I want to maybe reduce this texture and get like a, well, for one, I think we could make better use of this overlay texture. It looks like it's not tiling very hard. Let me double the tiling of the overlay. The overlay texture doesn't look like it's really helping us at all, which is kind of astounding. Try our crazy overlay. This is like super colorful overlay, which is really heavy when you first put it on. Just reduce it. I don't really love what that's doing. It's just, it's adding up, it's introducing maybe too much of this tie-dye nonsense color. Do I like it? Maybe a little bit. No, I think I think there's better overlays. We've got better overlays. Go with sand overlay. No, that's not gonna work. Here, what about these? What's this doing? It's something. I don't like it. I hate it. I'm moving on. Wash. Try this kind of concrete looking thing. I think that's what we started with. Whatever. It's doing doing nothing for us. Nothing at all. We can try to maybe put this thing in the actual texture. Hello, Adam Rushford. No, that doesn't have enough drama to it. There's not enough actual texture in there. Let's get a different one. Are there seriously only 2 people watching the 4 people on the YouTube stream? That's crazy. That's crazy. Sometimes the YouTube stream has just like 50 people, and the Twitch one has like 5, and sometimes it's like the opposite. Such crazy variability. Benefit of multi-streaming, I guess. Yeah, if the numbers stay like they've been lately, it might be kind of pointless to even multi-stream. Multi-streaming is kind of annoying, like on my end, and I know it's kind of annoying for the viewers too, because you've got, you know, people in chat who like not everyone's all part of the same chat, which is kind of a bummer. I moved over because people were chatting more. Oh yeah, on the Twitch side, yeah, for sure. I think that texture helped a little bit, but I think that we could probably get a better texture. It's a little strong, but it's definitely better than nothing. Just like a watercolor wash. We put it on a lot of stuff in Glimmerwick. You know, what I could do is probably duplicate it and rotate it 90 degrees to get a little bit more out of it. There we go. I like that a lot better. Okay, so the stems are looking a little bit better. Still kind of bunk. Oh man, so much work to do. They still don't look... It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good yet. Like, it has promise, but it doesn't look good. I want this line to just be a little bit less cray-cray, because it is super intense white. Just want it to sit a little bit better. All right, well, let's start maybe working on... It's weird how it looks better. I think it might look better in the actual forest, like, because we have extra lighting coming in from the sunlight from the exterior world. So let me pop in and walk around, see if maybe they actually look better. Yeah, I am using Restream right now, actually, Myriad, and I have a chat that merges everyone's chat together. But I have the only way that everyone could see the chat is if I put that chat on the screen on the actual stream, which I could do. It's against Twitch's terms of service, which that's why I haven't done it yet, but maybe it doesn't matter and I should just do it anyway because nobody cares. So yeah, so these mushrooms are actually looking better than they looked, because the lighting, you can see, has a lot more drama in the actual forest world. because there's not the sunlight getting mixed up with them, which is great. Cool. Let me catch up here. The Realm says, I wouldn't be surprised if you had 4,000 live viewers. To me, this is the best subject to stream, and indie dev streamers with your experience and quality are very rare. It's very nice of you to say, Vista. I really appreciate it. Very kind of you. I would be surprised if this stream got big in any way. Because, well, what can I say? You know, we're here, we're working on a video game in real time, which can be kind of boring for a lot of folks. So I think it would be hard to compete with the sort of, you know, with the sort of things that do well. But it's okay, you know, because I'm not necessarily trying to grow this channel. Like, that's not the goal necessarily. So it's all good. But I like streaming because my favorite reason for streaming is that I actually find it keeps me focused for longer periods of time, which I like. Of course, the added benefit is sometimes people find our games, and sometimes people who already like our games get to see a little bit behind the scenes. No, you would be surprised, Myriad. I think sometimes it's way more fun to watch other people build something than build it yourself. But no, you're right. Okay, so going back to the Dark Forest, I'm going to turn on my Dark Forest prefab. Where is it? Right, Lord Matri? I would hate to think that everyone watching me right now is actually procrastinating on something that would be more productive if they were doing. But sometimes you just gotta unwind, you know, and sometimes you like to watch dev streams. I watch dev streams myself from time to time. Yeah, the time-lapse environment art stuff is very, people really like that for sure. Get out of here, Gargan. If you just put me up on your second monitor if you have one, then work on your stuff. Okay, so I want to try doing a little bit more arting. I've just been staring at this mushroom, just been working on the prop, and I want to try really fleshing out a mushroom area. Which direction though do we go? So let's see. I'm going to save this and pop over to our terrain. Not this terrain though, actually I want the dark forest terrain. Where is that? Why is that not here? Dark. Whoa, there it is. Dark forest terrain. Crack that open, see what we got. So here's, okay, the toad area. Got a shrine here. I'm wondering if we want the mushroom fields to be like more in this area right here. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Because we want this to be, this is kind of an epic moment as you get further and further into the dark forest, and we want things to get more and more insane. So what I want to do is just knock out real quick and dirty some vertex painting and UV unwrapping for this spot. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and, yeah, maybe like, I'm just trying to think of where we should cut it. Maybe to here. Let's rip that. Rip that. And then grab all of these verts. Oops, let's rip this too. No, what did I click on? Something, I don't know. Add rigid body. No, I don't want that. Rip. There we go. Okay. And let's separate that out. And then I'm just going to like, maybe add like a turbo smooth to this thing. Subdivision surface. And I might need to add some cuts to keep this tamed here. Got a little crack right there. I don't really care about that. I'll sort that later. Or we can just move this vert over a little bit. And I just want lots of resolution to work with. Actually, you know, I'll cut that out and I'm going to apply it, and then sure, we'll move these verts over here. Okay, that's fine. All good. And then I want to unwrap this. Whoa. Grab all these verts and just run an unwrap on it. And let's get some kind of UVs going. Oh, I can't save this because I don't have it checked out. So dark forest terrain. We want to check out the exported Collada file and the Blender file. Dark forest terrain. Okay, here we go. What happened? Did it revert? Oh, God. What? But I had it open. Why did it revert? I never opened. Oh, okay. Phew, 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 phew. I accidentally opened it. Okay. I opened 2 instances of it. Okay. Exit out of that one. All right, there we go. Give that a save. Okay, now export. And now we should be able to see our changes. Cool. Easy. So now we've got some ground going. It looks like we could use a little bit more texel density. Double the size there. I think we could even use more. Just trying to kind of match the texel density to this one over here. And then we just want the middle. I guess we need more blue, stronger blue in the middle. Just paint some more blue there. Wow, we need way more cuts. Way, way, way more cuts. I'm gonna add another subdivision surface. There we go. Now that's just like insane amounts of resolution. And I'm gonna just paint the blue a little bit, and we'll go with the pink. Sort of just cut in. Try to create some irregularness to this path. Grab the blue. Paint it, squiggle around a little bit. Something like that. Cool. That looks good. That's a nice looking path. And then we can start putting these giant mushrooms all around. I want to see if we can create a look out of these giant mushrooms. So I'll go ahead and drop our player. A little scary to put the player here in this empty, empty, empty place. A little intimidating with nothing to go from, but we'll build this thing up. We'll build this thing up from the ground. I'm looking for my shortcut dev entry right here. Let's move it over here. And I'm going to copy these mushrooms all around. So just rotate these fellas. And I want to create just an absolute onslaught. Why are you guys coming off the ground? Don't do that. Go into the ground. Absolute onslaught of mushrooms here. I'm going to make a big one and sort of put that over, lean it over. Maybe make one here, really lean it away, knowing that the camera will get a little bit of the bottom, which I think will be cool. Probably going to want some variance as well. Well, we're definitely going to want some variance. Could probably make a lot of variance out of these. I enjoy the Field of Dreams reference. Such a weird movie. Okay, what kind of vegetation can we put amongst the mushrooms? Like we could try ferns. I don't know. I want it to look distinct. We need something on the ground. Okay, let's maybe try like mushroom forest. Just see if there's anything beautiful that comes up. They're just flowers. I don't know if I like that necessarily. Kind of a mossy ground. Anything but grass, man. Grass is boring as heck. Could try like let's get creative here. Let's try looking, because I'm going to save this and I'm going to head out to the main world. Yeah, we could do fallen logs. That's definitely an option. I want to see if we can cover the whole area in maybe something that we've never covered a whole area with before. And that maybe it'll just create an entirely new look. Ooh, we could even go with these. I wonder, Martha Shrub. There's a ton of Martha Shrub. We could build a whole area out of that for sure. These pink shrubs maybe are underused in the game. I wonder. But what are these called? Purple shrub. All kinds of shrubs. We have 3 different purple shrubs. That's a lot of variation. Let's go check out the maybe a bunch of purple shrubs. I think smaller mushrooms we'll definitely want to have on the ground, but we need a bread and butter. We need a chonker, something to really fill out the space, because otherwise it's just going to look like what tends to happen if you don't have any objects with volume. I call it like a lollipop field, where you just have a bunch of skinny, scanty stuff sticking up, and you don't have any form to your ground. So in a city, this can of course be buildings, and you want buildings with different forms. You don't just want a bunch of boxes. You want buildings with pop outs and all kinds of things, and in different shapes and different sizes. And in a forest, you want a piece of foliage that has a lot of thickness to it. Like you don't want something scraggly, like a dead shrub. I mean, dead shrubs can work, but it has to be thick, right? Like thick, you can't see through it. And it's usually like bushes or small trees, but you want that mid layer. At least I usually find that looks good. Vaughn asks, I'm curious as to why you're using Unity 2019. So typically when we start production, we pick a version and we just roll with it and we don't update unless there's a really, 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 really specific reason. But there hasn't been one, and I haven't really ever encountered one. Only on eShade, after we shipped for consoles, there was some kind of critical bug fix that that they did that we had to update a branch of eShade for. But other than that, we don't update because it just creates all this risk and all these regression bugs and things in the project that just kind of sets us back usually. And you'll find that the bigger the production, the more serious the production, the less they update. In fact, this is even the case for like Windows. If you, a lot of servers are running on like 15-year-old or even 20-year-old versions of Windows. They just don't touch it if it's broken. Mushrooms all the way down. Mossy rocks. Mossy rocks could actually work as your chonker. They'd have to be pretty big ones though, and we don't really have that kind of rock. Not really for us. Newer features worth upgrading for. Yeah, no, we haven't really run into any. Vista Realms says, I think it's because it supports a plugin he made. That's for Blender. That's the reason I haven't updated Blender. But for as far as Unity, just haven't updated because there's really nothing in the new versions that we need or would really help us in any way. You know, even when I was working on eShade, like the new versions of Unity would come out and they'd have new graphics features, but with eShade, like I wrote kind of all my shaders myself, so, and they already looked really good for exactly what we needed. So I wouldn't want to update in the middle just to use like their solution for some random thing. Once you kind of get it all working and looking good, updating is actually more risky and it makes it look worse because you balanced everything so meticulously for that particular lighting pipeline and for that particular shader set and all that stuff. So many banks still using tape drives. I know, like the banking industry, they are the most conservative and the most serious, right? So they have the oldest crap imaginable. That's tape drives. That's crazy. On Windows 98, yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely. Hey Zero, I'm good. I'm really good. Man, it's crisp and fall. Love it. Feeling good. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna try these purple shrubs. So this is something I knew would happen. They're gonna be super the wrong value. We're gonna have to create specialized versions of the materials. So here's our 3 purple shrubs. Oh yeah, this is a lot of variety. That's actually maybe even too much variety. But let's specialize the material. So we want, so purple shrub, I'm gonna duplicate those 3 materials. Why does it take so long to duplicate a material for Unity? I don't understand. I'm gonna call it purple shrub 1 dark forest. Wait for it to do its thing. Purple shrub 2 dark forest. Yoroshuku, thank you for dropping by, and thank you very much for the kind words, and so glad to hear you're excited about Songs of Glimmerwick. I'm excited too. And I'm just gonna darken significantly the main color and then just hook up this purple shrub 2 to purple shrub 2 dark forest, purple shrub 3 to purple shrub 3 dark forest, And Purple Shrub 1. I'm going to blow some minds here to Purple Shrub 1 Dark Forest. Looks like it's a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to brighten that up. I think it's like too much variation almost. Like I just want... I'm just going to place a bunch around here and see how that looks. I suspect, you know, most things don't look good. That's the crazy part. Most things don't look good when you try them. And then I think the difference between potentially the difference between you know, really good artists, really good game artists and not so good game artists, or maybe even non artists, is that really good game artists will just keep trying. They won't be like, you know, you really have to squint your eyes and look at things. Try to look at them objectively and ask yourself, how is this reading? Is this bananas? Does this look bananas good? And if it doesn't look bananas good, then you just keep trying until it doesn't. And it never looks bananas good, and you're always sad and you cry. But at some point you find something that kind of looks not offensive, like, you know, it doesn't hurt your eyeballs when you look at it. And then you know, well, you keep going until you get to that point and you can't go any further because you're broken inside. And then you're an artist. These bushes are crazy huge, crazy huge. I'm just scaling them down just to sort of see how they looked. Look, okay. Wicked engine. I have to look into that Wicked engine, Adam Rushford. MXZ Gaming, finally I released my game. Congratulations on releasing a game, rock on. MXZ Gaming had 40K wishlist and got 2K. It's a little low, but it's not terrible. If you link to your game, MXZ Gaming, I'd love to see your game. It is a pretty low Burkett ratio for having 40,000 wish lists. Now, 2,000, you got 2,000 units moved over what time period? Was this your first week, first month, first year? Curious about that. But that sounds pretty good. Like you probably made some money on the game, right? Cool, 40,000 wish lists. That's no small feat. That's why producers are there, yeah. Oh, you got to recoup with the publisher, I see. For 1 month. Okay, MXZ Gaming's linking the game. I'm pulling it up here. I think, have I looked at this game before? MXZ, I'm remembering this game. I feel like I've maybe seen it before. Look and fly, look and fly. Yeah, I've definitely seen this game before. Very cool. Survival crafting. That's wicked. Well, congratulations on releasing. That's really exciting. And did you do a Next Fest? Where did a big chunk of your wish list come from? Catching up with chat here. Been crying into my computer screen for years now. Crying is not the only requisite to be an artist, but You know, it's just one of the things you need to do. Try a little bit. You're too kind. You're too kind, MXZ. Oh my goodness. 20,000 was China. Interesting. Okay. And did you localize Chinese? Yes, you did. Okay, cool. That's good. All right. Let's walk around our dark forest a little bit. Tell you right now, these shrubs, they're not going to work. They're just not going to work. Give it a save. And back up. And then let's have a little runabout. Okay, we got a spammer here. Man, it's so annoying to ban people with a restream. Permaban for life. All right, let's go. Cool. I think the mushrooms are reading really nicely. I definitely think we can make an environment out of these. Definitely, definitely. Like, yeah, the big read is good. These bushes are not going to work. They're way too saturated. But yeah, I think we can put together something with the mushrooms. It's not going to be super easy. We still have to find a shtick. Shtick for the ground level. Oh, oops. We got another bot here. Bans. I wish I could not only ban them, but do something worse to them. Like lock them out of their house or something. Or just like slightly inconvenience them in some way. Like make them hit all the red lights on their way to work or something. That would be cool. Lots of tiny mushrooms. Yeah, we could go ham on the tiny mushrooms. I think we need something really big though. Lucky Lamps, hello, welcome. Should add some puffball mushrooms for the ground level. Blocking URLs ending in .top might be more effective. Something I haven't thought of. Okay, so this is not working at all. All of these purple shrubs, just not working. I can usually tell really quickly if something is gonna work. That is not working. We could try like this fern thing, just doing lots of ferns. Ferns and logs. Maybe I want to create a group that encapsulates all this stuff. It'd be kind of nice anyway, just for just in case I ever want to move this elsewhere. But let's call this like a fern corner, and just make sure to take out the transforms on it. And grab all this junk here. So, you know, I'm going to be right back, guys. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm back. I had Jacqueline take a look. She had some good ideas. She was saying that she thinks that we should go away from the ribbed sort of look, and I definitely agree with her. We found these mushrooms as reference, and if we are going to go with the ribbed look on the stems, it should just be at the top, and then the rest should be the smooth stem, because this is not working. It doesn't look like mushroom. It looks like rebar. She said that this was not bad, which irritable. I still think it looks bunk. She also had a good idea of putting these shelves, these like weird little mushroom shelves. Almost like a little double-decker mushroom. Oh, like this thing. Since the stems take up so much screen real estate, it'd be nice to have more dynamism going on. Okay. Other than that, let me catch up with chat here. Oh, Cry asks, why don't you convert the mushrooms to 2D planes instead of having to render them as 3D objects, which will be more expensive to render? We're not particularly worried about performance of polygons. Rendering polygons is extremely cheap. We're a lot more worried about draw calls, which we're not even that worried about that because we have a top-down game, which means we're game deving on easy mode because you can't see the horizon, so you don't end up having that many draw calls. But you know, whether this thing is a mesh or whether this thing is a texture on an alpha card, it's one draw call, so it's all the same. It's a lot more expensive on the GPU to render the polygons, but it's a lot more expensive in memory to have a massive freaking unique tech, right? Check this out. All these mushrooms are at all different angles, right? But look at this. Boom, 2048. Boom, 2048. Boom, 2048. Boom, 2048. Just like that. And that is going to be 16 megs, 16 megs, 16 megs, 16 megs. And that's why we wouldn't want to do that. That would be very bad. When it's really, really big, like taking up the whole screen, for something like a mushroom that we're going to be repeating everywhere and we want to rotate it, this is the one, like one of the rare situations where we do want it to be modeled out. Our trees are all illustrations, which we have on alpha cards, just like you said. But since these mushrooms are so big, I think it makes sense to have them modeled out. Also, check out this parallax. That parallax is kind of cool, right? Even in this like sort of pop-up 2D game, that parallax is neat. Like it creates a really epic feel that I feel like a lot of 2D games don't have. Like you can see the parallax because the mushrooms are modeled out. Like you can see, you know, you can see a little bit of three-dimensionalness of them, especially in the foreground, and it looks kind of awesome. So that's why we don't turn them into alpha cards. So I'm going to try to mess with the texture. We want a smoother texture for the stems. That's one thing. So let's go into the dark forest again. How long have I been streaming here? Let's see. 21 minutes, okay. I'm just gonna modify the texture a little bit on the stem. I might even take out, yeah, what does that look like? Just a smooth stem. It kind of looks like concrete or something. It's like not the right, what if we just went completely smooth? Honestly, that looks better. That looks better. It has this like real softness to it that I think is working well. If we wanted to have the stemmy texture, I think that's fine, but we should use the blend to do it. So This is fine. I'm going to darken the top of the stem here. First of all, let's give this a save. Pop back to our mushroom. And then I'm just going to slurp a little bit of the blue out. Extract a little bit. I kind of slurped a lot out. Okay. And let's take a little bit of the blue out of the bottom here. Okay. Cool. Very nice. And that's already looking better. That's already looking better. It does. It looks better now. Simpler. Better. And then, well, let's move our viz cam because it's kind of hard to see like a full mushroom here. I want to just have a really like this rib texture. Let's go absolutely bananas with it. Like we really want this exact texture. So I'm going to make it very, I'm not going to do this weird in between. It's going to be really strong ribbing pattern. And I'm not going to mess around with it. So this texture, now that it's basically nothing, can just be, 512. And then I'm going to save this as mushroom stem ribbing, I guess. We're going to make a new one. And let's go super hard with, I think do we want to leave this stuff? I don't know. Anyhow. Delete these fibers, delete all this stuff. I'm gonna make it pretty desaturated here. And just go almost white. Smooth mouse. And just paint these lines in here. Really strong pattern. That one's a little bit wobbly. It does have a little bit of wobble in it, like where they get further apart from each other sometimes or closer together. I'm going to try to build that in there. But mostly, the lines don't really cross over each other. There's only a few crossing overs, and they happen. I'm just looking at the reference, and I'm just seeing like it is a very clean pattern. And every once in a while, you have these little crossovers like that. Kind of like trees growing or something. That's what I'm seeing in the reference. I'm just trying to mimic that closely. That one looks bad. I don't like that one. I don't know why. Something like that. There, that's going to work. And then I think what we can do... Ugh. I shouldn't have done that on the same layer. That was stupid. Jeez. Wow. Anyhow, it's okay. I can get it on a new layer just by doing like a threshold on it. Putting it on the top, control clicking on one of these, and now I've just got the alpha for it. And I can, well, I was going to invert this and just fill it with like, I don't know, some kind of gray or something. And then what I want to do is do a, actually no, I'm going to do the opposite. Don't fill it with gray. Before you invert it, fill it with the white. And then fill this one with the gray. Except I'm going to go much lighter with the whole thing and lighter with this as well. And then what I want to do is do a drop shadow. Shadow, or outer glow actually would probably work as well. Set it to multiply and do the size bigger. Turn it black. Turn up the opacity. Okay, turn down the size there. I just want like basically some shading of it. And now turn down the opacity a little bit. Okay, we got to get it to tile, unfortunately. So I'm going to go filter, other offsets. Of course, it's tiling horizontally, but it's not tiling vertically. And to make it tile, oh, come on, man. So we got to get rid of all these gradients. I'm going to put them all in a group. Just grabbing all the gradients and sticking them all in a group. Okay, so now we can work cleanly here. And I'm just going to connect these. Try to connect these. Yeah. Try to connect this one. Connect this one. You can see like a lot of them are already pretty close. Let's connect this one right here. Connect this one. That one's already practically connected. Ah. If this one would just behave. Trying to get these connecting lines in here. Okay. And now I'm going to go in with the eraser and just try to erase out parts that don't connect. I'm going to turn on my smoothing a little bit. Chisel away at these little bits that aren't connecting very tediously. I don't know why I didn't finish the job with these ones. I'm going to do it sloppy. Come on now. This one's going to be pretty hard. Yeah, chisel away there. Doesn't have to be perfect. But at least it should be better than what it was, which was completely not tiling at all, so. Just getting rid of these little bits. There we go. Yeah. Back. Yeah. All right. Something like that. Good. Save it. There we go. Now we've just got that rib texture, which we can do separately. So I'm going to put into the material, giant mushroom. I'm going to use the green channel, which we have available to us right now, and grab that mushroom's ribbing. And we just want to make sure to set our import settings correctly for those. Okay, and it's drawing on everything, and that's just because we need to set the height boost, looks like, is really, really high. So I'm just going to lower that until it's not drawing on everything. Now it's drawing on nothing, which is fine. What we do want is the bottom of the mushrooms to be completely green. So I'm going to add all the green because that's that rib texture that we're going to have there. Let's just totally add green on the bottom. God, I hate how it just goes through. It really annoys me. I don't know how to fix that. I'm going to literally separate it like a madman. Can't get its poop in a group here. And I'm going to flood it with green. I don't know why I did that. That was really stupid. I could have just like literally applied the color. Sometimes I amaze myself at how stupid I am. Okay, remove doubles. Go. And then So now we've got that green, but we need it to get a little fadey. So I'm just going to add a new subdivision. I'm going to grab this ring of faces right here. I'm going to flood fill it with here. There we go. And then I'm just going to, yeah, add green right there. And here's a little trick I learned in NAM. If you grab that edge loop now and remove it, you get a perfect vertex color fade. Okay. So now we just have the ribbed texture. Unfortunately, we've got a little issue where the UVs are not correct at the edge. For the rib texture, we definitely want like higher texel density. So I think what we want for those is we want that to be on the same UV island. So I'm going to go follow active quads there. Hopefully that'll fix it for us. Well, it almost fixed it, but it's still not quite right. Actually, does that look awesome? We could just like, well, first of all, we could move this whole thing to a different spot. It doesn't seem particularly important where it is. But we could take all these faces and just expand them a little to get that white line more visible. Or maybe we don't even want that white line anymore. Maybe this rib stuff is, we want that more. I think that that stuff is awesome. I think that that's better than even what we had, which is that white line. This basically is effectively a white line. So I think we can just remove the white line. Check that out. That gives us that same little rim. That's cool, man. It was really cool. Let's go down to like 2.5, 2.5. Now what I want out of the texture is I want the whole thing to be closer to one value. Thanks, Neat Games. So in order to do that, let's head over to our Photoshop file. And I'm just going to bring up the value of that stuff underneath. Well, maybe I'll keep it like a little bit dark, but we'll just make sure that the lines up here, we're going to darken those down. There's this weird pink in this. I don't want that. Just going to desaturate it. Okay. Wow, that is way too high frequency. That looks awesome though. Really happy with that. So here's the blend contrast if we want it like a more smooth blend. But we don't. I think we want a more hard blend. These look great. So what I was saying before with the stem, first of all should be wider, more like that rib pattern. It's also like way too high frequency. I'm going to turn this down. And going to the stem texture, still have it somewhere. I don't. I'm an idiot. Mushroom stem. Okay. So we've completely taken out, let's take out like basically all the saturation in that. And make that stem way brighter. Okay, that is a little too light. Are they edible? Oh my goodness. That would be so much mushroom. Good question. Yeah, you would have your food source solved. Okay, so what I want to do I'm going to blow some mines. I want to just put green right here at the very top. Mostly I'm going to blow my own mind right now. It's going to be freaking awesome. Okay, so I'm just adding that green. And then I'm going to remove that edge loop to get our perfect fade. Boom, and we have that little ribby bit right there at the top fading, which is pretty cool. The only thing is I don't really like how clean it changes. I think what we need maybe is a mask, an alpha channel. Does this even use? I don't even know how the green texture blends. Does it even use the alpha? It might. It might. Let's get some clouds. Photoshop clouds. Just gonna grab these and I'm gonna drop them into the alpha channel of this PSD. So tiles and everything should be good. I'm gonna make sure all the values are kind of in the middle range here. Boom, check that out. So it uses the alpha, which is gonna give us a more faded mix. I don't want it kind of that intense, so I just want to make sure that all of the value ranges are really toward the middle here. Make sure to put it right in the middle there. And that should sort of break up our line a little bit. Actually, you know what I could do? Just keep them all more toward the white side. I think that'll work just as well. Okay. Now give a little bit of height boost. And now it's giving us a nice broken up line, a broken up blend. But if we're going to do that, well, first of all, I think, yeah, we probably need a nice smooth blend. And how's the blend on the top looking? A little bit too smooth. But anyway, I wonder if we could do that even further down the stem. Like if it would look nice to have a little bit of green right here. Like just add just a tiny, tiny bit of green to each of these verts. I wonder if that would be too much. Let's go ahead and blur that. Blur, 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 blur. Then I'm also going to blur this. I saw some weird junk going on there. Okay, how's that? Cool. Yeah, I think that's that. This is the ribbed texture that we've wanted all along. It's possible these stems would look awesome even if they were completely ribbed all the way down, like if we added green even down the bottom. Just like kind of at random spots almost. And let's blur that. Blur all that vertex paint. And let's pop back over. Cool. And I can maybe take down that tiling a little bit. It's kind of tiling really intensely. That's a little bit better. I don't know. Well, yeah, kind of weird right there. That weird line is strange. Don't know really what that's about. It could just be our tiling job. But that's really cool. I mean, that is really cool. Like you can, now we have, these mushrooms look great now. I'm very confident with them. And they're sharp, you can get really close to them. And you can get all different sides of them. And we can do all kinds of crazy stuff with the vertex color. in terms of this ribbing pattern. We can mess with it, go a little bit smoother on the transition if we want. Oh my gosh, look, we can make them like white mushrooms, which also looks cool because this texture just in and of itself looks kind of dope. And we drew it with our hands. Okay, but that's really cool. I'm really happy with that. I'm gonna call it a stream. That's good progress. Let's give Dark Forest a save. Okay, I haven't looked at anything. Let's see. In my game's lore, people eat the giant mushrooms. That's cool. I like that. Okay. All right, well, folks, I'm gonna call that a stream. I wanna thank everyone for hanging out while we make these mushrooms. If you're new to the stream, please don't hesitate to check out, let me go over. If you're on YouTube, of course, you probably know about our games, but you know, if you haven't looked at the Steam pages for our games, go give them a little peek. See if maybe there's something that you might want to play. Eastshade, you know, it's a great game. It's a great game. Check out the Eastshade gameplay summary trailer. If you watch that, it's only 2 minutes long. You'll know exactly what you do in Eastshade. You'll know exactly what kind of game it is and if it's the kind of game that you want to play. We're also working on, of course, this game that you just were watching me work on called Songs of Glimmerwick. It's a Witch Academy RPG where the magic of the world is music. And if you head over to that Steam page, you can check out our trailer and maybe read the marketing copy if you're into that sort of thing. See if it's your type of game. I think it's going to be a banger. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I think it's going to be even better than Eastshade. And if it interests you, please don't hesitate to give it a wish list so that you can be notified when it comes out. Yeah, that would mean the world to us. All right, folks. Hopefully I'll catch some of y'all next time. I'm going to call it a stream for tonight. See ya.